Well, I don't think the issue will be that of resolving conflicts. Apparently, there might not be. Perhaps that's the more reason why we should posit that there should be clear defined constitutional rule, because where that obtains, then certainly the issue of conflict will not arise. Or rather, when we allow things to flow the way they are, then certainly we are having conflicts. I've listened attentively to the position posited by Emir of Gumi and of course the Chairman Council of Chiefs in Enugu State. And these are clear examples of where the challenges are. But having said that, I believe that what we should be aspiring to achieve is to clearly define what the functions should be. Perhaps if we have in the Constitution spelled out, there is herein established a council for traditional rulers, we may not need to elaborate so much further. Rather, there could well be a schedule in the Constitution that will now succinctly capture all the areas that the mandate of the traditional ruler will be required. And it becomes a mandate prescribed by the Constitution. If we do that, it can span both the legislative arm, can go to executive functions, and it can even touch judicial, if not quasi-judicial functions. Let me tell you, I have observed, it is not a matter of research. In the few months or 6 months I've been in office, I can say without equivocation that most of the disputes in my own community, indeed almost 80% of them, if not more, are resolved by traditional rulers. They don't get to the normal court system that we have, and that is quite enormous. But in a situation wherein, after resolving some of this conflict, they will now start another journey through the customary courts, up the ladder, even going to the Supreme Court, is a major challenge on its own. These are issues that need to be spelled out. That members of the traditional institution are not part of the security architecture in terms of members of the Security Council is worrisome on its own. That shouldn't be the case. These are issues that I also believe should be well defined by the Constitution under the shadow that will clearly define the functions, the composition, and the membership of the Traditional Rulers Council. If we are able to achieve that, I don't believe that there's likelihood of any form of conflict because things are clearly defined and delineated. Again, in issues of boundary demarcation and issues arising from boundary dispute, I believe the traditional institution, they have a role to play. And they play that so eminently well, and we cannot debate that. So here and there, we know that there are areas we can mention wherein, of course, we know that hitherto, there are representations in the Council of State. And that only evaporated after the 1999 Constitution came into force. It was there hitherto, it was there in 1979. Now, so we needed to have somebody, there's need for us to have somebody there that can articulate for us. It is not a question of using people when you want to use them. And at the apex where they need to articulate for their own people and on behalf of their people, being the custodians of the culture and customs of the people, they are nowhere to be seen. So I believe that the issue of conflict, I dare say, does not even arise. It is because of the conflict inherent that we're asking for the constitutional rule. Because once they are well articulated and well addressed constitutionally, there will be no question of conflict. If there is any, then the court will also interpret to make sure that the lines are well defined and the lines are clearly drawn. So that is my position as far as that is concerned.